Hello everyone, my name is Ibukon Shaba. As always, I discuss legal topics that help you in your day-to-day life. Today's topic I'm very gingered about. We have about 155 days to the 2023 presidential elections, and I wanted to teach you how to win the Nigerian election for your candidates, constitution style, okay? So the first thing I want to talk about today is what, is an election and what types of elections do we have. So we have four types of elections. We have the general elections, the by-elections, we have rerun elections, and supplemental elections. I think it's good to also state that in Nigeria, our elections are governed by the Nigerian Constitution from 1999. We also have the regulations and guidelines that the INEC releases. The last one was in 2019 and has been updated. And of course, we have the updated Electoral Act, which is in 2022, it was signed into law. So these govern how the elections are conducted, before and after, and all that juicy stuff. So what is a general election? I'm sure you've heard it so many times, the general election. It just means that the elections are conducted in multiple constituencies in one day or within a period of time, whilst a by-election is only conducted in one constituency. Usually it means that someone has resigned, or there's a debt, or there's some type of vacancy that needs to be filled. Rerun elections, of course, are held if the initial election is inconclusive, and we have supplemental elections, which is just a system whereby rather than tick off a candidate that you prefer on a ballot, you list out candidates in order of preference, and whoever gets the most votes wins. So now that we have that general background, let's focus on the presidential election and what the Nigerian Constitution says about that. So you need to look into section 134 of the 1999 Constitution to find out what the details are in there. The first thing to note is when elections should be conducted, and why do we have February 25th, 2023 as our election date for the presidential elections. This is because you cannot conduct an election any more than 60 days before the tenure of the current sitting president expires, and you also can't conduct it less than 30 days before. So there's a time frame within which it has to occur. Once that is in the bag, which we already have in the bag, the next thing to note is now it's election day. You know your candidates, you want them to get into power post February 25. The first thing they have to do is to ensure that they win the highest number of votes. Currently in Nigeria, INEC has released a record that says that we have 96.29 million registered voters. So if you're one of the people that did not register, look at you, just look at you. Okay, but if you registered, kudos to you, and you're one of this 96 million potential voters on that day. And the winning candidate is going to have to secure the highest vote of this number, or rather of the number that votes on election day. The next threshold that candidate, your candidate, or whoever has to cross in order to ensure that they win the election is that the person has to win 1/4, that is 25% of the votes in 2/3 of the states in Nigeria. Now, you know that we have 36 states. This includes the FCT, of course. And of those 36 states, when you do the maths, 2/3 is about 66%. That brings us to 24 states. So not only does the winner and the next president have to get the highest votes cast at the ballot, that person also has to secure 25% of the majority votes in 24 states in Nigeria. So it's not just, I won in Lagos, I had a long number. These two criteria have to be met. Now, I've seen a question asked on Twitter, what happens if none of the candidates on that day meet either of these criteria? What's the next step? The next step is that INEC is going to conduct a second election within 7 days. So now, that means March 4th, supposedly, will be the next date for the election. And what happens then is that first, the candidate with the most votes, with the highest number, is going to be picked as a candidate for the rerun election. The second candidate has to be a candidate with the most votes in the most states. This can be tricky, and what has happened is if that number is not able to be ascertained, then this person with the next highest number of votes is going to be the second candidate for the rerun election. Once these two candidates have been identified and selected, the rerun elections are conducted, and the same principle applies, meaning that those two candidates, one of them has to win majority votes and 25% of the votes in 24 states. Now, what happens if of those two candidates, nobody is able to meet this threshold? Then we have the final election conducted within another 7 days, and whoever wins the majority votes across board will be the winner. So with a breath of a sigh of relief rather, and note that there's a process in place for every stumbling block that you think might arise. Of course, we hope for very peaceful elections. My advice is for you to get out there, get the votes in, and note that you're not just winning majority votes, you also have to win majority states. 24 states is a lot of states. 25% of the vote is a lot of votes. We're going to put somewhere on the screen what INEC has published in terms of how the registered voters are distributed across the states, and this might help you in projecting the numbers that you want to. So it's also very important, it's going to help your candidate win, for you to subscribe to my channel, yes, because you get the information out there that I'm sharing, and more of the electorate is going to be informed on what they need to do to achieve whatever desired results you're looking to. Hit the notification bell as well. Make sure to leave me a comment, like this video, share this video on your group, and let people know exactly what it is that entails for you to win the next election.